welcome Memo to the podium. Howdy. Howdy. All right. Let's try it again for them. Howdy. Howdy. Yeah. Well, it's great to be, well, first of all, welcome everybody, Aggies and non-Aggies. If you're not an Aggie and you don't have a ring, I'm glad that you're here and partaking in the most important tradition that we have in the root of who and what we are. I guarantee if you are not an A&M fan or don't get A&M, I bet by the end of the night you'll understand why we're so obnoxious and so passionate about the school. It's great to be back home in Laredo with all of you. Throughout my time at Texas A&M, I've had the blessing and privilege of doing a lot of really cool things, as people like to say. Things like riding around in the Chancellor's jet, drinking cold beer with Hall of Famers Von Miller and Jacob Green, Jackie Sherrill, shooting hoops with NBA players Alex Caruso, Chris Middleton, and others, sitting in all kinds of boxes and suites with people that I should never be in the same room with. And developing text message level friendships with people like Johnny Manziel, Jimbo Fisher, Rick Perry, Buzz Williams, President Banks, and Chancellor Sharp, to name a few. Making appearances on ESPN with legends like Tim Tebow and Desmond Howard. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Nothing and absolutely nothing throughout my time at Texas A&M has been as special and as meaningful and as cool as being invited back home to be the Laredo Aggie Muster speaker this year. So thank you. My hope is that throughout my speech tonight, your fire for Texas A&M and the honor and responsibility that each of us has of calling ourselves a Fight Texas Aggie is reignited and burning brighter and hotter than ever before when we conclude this muster. My hope is that you're reminded of and truly feel that unbreakable strength and love of the Aggie spirit that unites us all. It's special to be back home tonight for this event and truly come full circle. Laredo Aggie Muster is the base of my earliest memories of growing up in Aggie and a major component of my love for Texas A&M that has only grown throughout my time in Aggie. Laredo Aggie Muster is where I learned the true meaning of what it means to call yourself a Fighting Texas Aggie. It's where my love and dream of graduating from Texas A&M was fostered and grew every year. Laredo Aggie Muster is where I met Aggies like Memo Bella, Dr. Memo Gonzalez, Dr. Dago Gonzalez, Dr. Carlos Ornedo, Trey Gonzalez, Ramon Villafranca, Melissa Cigarroa, Olga Gentry, Danny Garcia, and countless others that invested and mentored me because they cared about the future of the place that they will always call home, Texas A&M. It's where I was finally convinced by Memo Bella and the help of a couple of others to follow in the footsteps of my hero, my father, Danny Salinas, class of 1989, and join the Corps of Cadets and join the heart of Texas A&M, and call myself a keeper of the spirit and guardian of tradition. Laredo Aggie Muster is where I was inspired to chase my dreams and make them a reality. It's where I learned that as Aggies, we are and we have and will always be more than just fans who turn on a TV on Saturday to watch a game or only come around when it's convenient. It's where I learned that unlike any other school on the face of this earth, our identity is not rooted in surface and material things like wins and losses, money and fame, size or ego. We are rooted in being a part of something bigger than ourselves, striving to live by our core values. And we are who we are because of the accomplishments and the legends of those who came before us. Legends that since 1876, the year Texas A&M was founded, has produced Aggies of the same spirit of those that fought under Sam Houston and San Jacinto. The same spirit as the 14,123 Aggies that have served in the world wars. More than any service academy in the United States combined. and the same level of the 22 brave Aggies that have selflessly given up their life in keeping America safe since the attacks of September 11, 2001. Above all, the Radio Aggie muster is where I learned that the most important part of being an Aggie, the most sacred part of who and what we are, and why our university is like no other, is our love for one another and traditions that unite us all. And none, absolutely none, more important than Aggie muster. As we gather for this unique and most important of Aggie traditions, your presence here tonight demonstrates your commitment and love to both Texas A&M and your fellow Aggies. As we enjoy this time of Aggie camaraderie, I would like to take a moment to thank all those who made this evening possible. Melissa Cigarroa, class of 78, Danny Garcia, class of 83, Olga Gentry, class of 86, Danny Salinas, class of 89, Milo Richet, class of 04, Danny Salinas, class of 15, Ilana Grindigi, class of 16, Olivia Sanchez, class of 18, Gilbert Bermea, class of 18, Robert Caranco, class of 18, Eduardo Mendez Flores, class of 20, Sofia Perez, class of 21, Ramona Laniz, class of 21, and Trey Villafranca, my Challenger 17 buddy, class of 22. Thank you. I also thank all the many, many people who have worked very hard and behind the scenes to make an event like this possible. And especially Steve Lamantia, class of 81, and Linda Lamantia, class of 82, for yet again giving up their resources up to the A&M Club and hosting us here tonight at your venue. Thank you for taking care of your fellow Aggies, as we all should. All of y'all that I just mentioned are who and what all current and former students should strive to be as Aggies. All of you all are what makes Texas A&M and the Aggie spirit so special. You guys are who ensure that the spirit of Aggieland will never die. That no matter what may be happening in our broken world and society, you can always count on the Aggie spirit to remain true and remain constant. The same Aggie spirit that picks us up on bad days and pushes us forward in tough times. The same Aggie spirit that has had a major part in who we all are here today. Today, as you walked in and found your seat, you should have found a small poster or picture of the Aggie muster. And if you didn't, there's some in the front. I placed that on your chair with hopes that you will keep that picture and place it somewhere on your desk or in your office or wherever it may be. And I hope that you look at that picture in times when you're feeling a little bit down and in need of an inspiration. And when you glance at this picture of the Aggies seated on this occasion, you see the dedication that is there and get the inspiration to go on. When you think of Texas A&M, you think of the Corps Cadets. Woo! When you think of Texas A&M, you think of the 12th Band. When you think of Texas A&M, you think of the Fighting Texas Aggie Band. When you think of Texas A&M, you think of the bonfire. When you think of Texas A&M, you think of tradition, you think of strength and courage. You think of loyalty, and you think of leadership. All of the above combine into the intangible known as the Aggie spirit. The intangible that is simply not understood by the outside world. That intangible that is kidded about by many, but is the envy of all, especially those guys down in Austin. That intangible is the Aggie spirit. Tonight, Aggies gather in hundreds of locations around the world. Our gatherings will be as unique as the 500,000 former students of Texas A&M, with each gathering sharing a common spirit and sharing common themes of remembrance, respect, and renewal. Tonight, Aggies will share Good Bull stories and Old Army stories, some of which might even be true. We will also compare notes on how much the campus has grown and changed over the years. Yet, we will leave here tonight knowing that the Aggie spirit remains the same, and that it was never the buildings, classrooms, playing fields, or even bars, but it was always our fellow Aggies and our shared experiences at Texas A&M that made such a difference in our lives. These shared experiences include the exchanging of howdy, standing together as part of the 12th Band and yelling like hell till our voice was gone, and the good guys had beaten the ever-living, ever-loving, compound, complex hell out of whoever we were playing and had the daunting task of lining up against us that day. Experiences like gathering on a darkened campus for Silver Taps and answering here for a departed friend at Aggie Muster. We gather tonight and reflect on those countless other experiences with a smile on our heart and a tear in our eye. I especially reflect on my own meaningful Aggie experiences, including being a fish in the core when the Aggies took down LSU in the 7 overtime classic. And getting to participate in the burial and saluting of the 41st President of the United States, George Bush, as he was laid to rest on Texas A&M's campus. Getting to see Aggie Land covered in snow, which was a beautiful sight, and witnessing that even during a pandemic, Aggies pushed on and the Aggie spirit could never be stopped by masks or distancing. Moments like knocking off Florida, our first win against a top 5 opponent in Calfield in over 20 years, and recently one that we all loved, taking down Nick Saban and #1 Alabama with the help of the Deputy Gale. And none more impactful and meaningful than getting to partake and lead traditions such as Sober Taps, Campus Aggie Muster, Midnight Yell Practice, and reading the last portrait at Bonfire Remembrance. So much has changed at Texas A&M. And as we gather tonight, we are respectful of the storied past of our alma mater. We are grateful for its remarkable rise from a few buildings on a bald prairie to one of the nation's largest and most respected institutions of higher education. We will show our gratitude to the people who preserved through times of adversity, times of struggle, to leave us at Texas A&M that, in the words of former university president Dr. Robert Gates, is a unique American institution. Tonight, we acknowledge all those decades of growth and positive change, while we celebrate all that remains constant about Texas A&M. The friendliness of our students, a commitment to a set of basic core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. The can-do attitude found within our students and our former students. Our uncommon loyalty to our alma mater and to our fellow Texas Aggies. And most of all, the incomparable and the uncomfortable Aggie spirit. Tonight we will call a roll of Aggies who are no longer among us. And we will answer for each of them. And in answering, we will remain true to each other as Aggies can be. And we will stand in support of those Aggies left behind. Tonight we remember and respect those who have departed, and we cherish the proud past of our great school. We also celebrate the accomplishments of our university, and we look towards the future with a renewed sense of optimism for the great things ahead for our school and for the many contributions Aggies will continue to make in our society. Earlier today, the Association of Former Students led a roll call in the Clayton Williams Jr. Alumni Center. Volunteers representing current and former students, Texas A&M faculty, staff, and administration called every single name on our worldwide muster roll and answered here for each and every one of those Aggies. That roll call began this morning at sunrise in Aggie Land, and it included the names of about 1,500 Aggies. It lasted more than 2.5 hours. We do that roll call every year to ensure that every Aggie is remembered at a muster, as they should be and as they must be. Among the names called were those of Byron T. Wayner, class of 1939, a World War II veteran who turned 103 last year and was the third oldest living Texas Aggie. Shirley Porter, class of 1965, one of the first females allowed to pursue a degree from Texas A&M. Catherine J. Greenway, class of 1988, vice president of the Association of Former Students, and more than a dozen of my own classmates and current Texas A&M students who were lost this past year. As we gather tonight to remember these Aggies and so many others, we are joined by fellow Aggies across the world, including those gathering in Reed Arena for the campus muster, where the featured speaker is General Mark Welsh III, former U.S. Army Air Force Chief of Staff and current Dean of the George Bush School of Government and Public Service. Members of the class of 1972 are the honored guests at that ceremony, commemorating their 50th year since graduating from Texas A&M. Although the spirit is the same in Texas A&M today,
looks vastly different than that small university the class of 72 attended 5 decades ago. Texas A&M today ranks among the nation's largest universities with a fall 2021 enrollment of over 73,000 students, including those of our School of Law, the Health Science Center, the branch campuses in Galveston, McAllen, and Qatar. In addition to our campuses in College Station, Galveston, McAllen, and Qatar, A&M also operates in centers in Mexico City, Costa Rica, and Italy. With more than $1.1 billion in research annually, Texas A&M is #1 among Texas public and private schools in total research expenditures. A&M is ranked #1 nationally for service to veterans transitioning into civilian careers after military service. #1 in success of low-income students, and is considered among the best value nationally for veterans. Fortune ranks Texas A&M #1 nationally among public and private universities for production of CEOs for Fortune 500 companies, and ranks Texas A&M #1 among public universities in the U.S. for superior education of an affordable cost. That right there is your school. That is the school that you call home. Students are attracted to Texas A&M for many reasons, including outstanding academics, timeless values, and the feeling of a small school on a large campus. A wide variety of student involvement opportunities. Students today can select from more than 1,200 student involvement opportunities, including social, religious, and service organizations. Through these organizations, they have had the opportunity to learn, to build networks, and eventually to lead. Texas A&M is often looked at as the model for student involvement and leadership opportunities, with cornerstone programs such as SCONA, the Student Conference of National Affairs, COSGO, the Conference of Student Government Associations, and the SBSLC, the Southwestern Student Leadership Conference, all remaining as strong and as impactful as ever. Service organizations like the Big Event showcase Texas A&M's core values of selfless service and are now emulated across the country. Last month, tens of thousands of Aggies participated in Big Event, completing about 1,000 jobs, service projects in the Bryan College Station area in a single day. This effort is being continued by former students, and many of our A&M clubs across the nation engage in service projects in their communities. Student leadership and involvement opportunities have been a mainstay of the Aggie experience since the early days of Texas A&M. While the oldest and most recognizable of these groups being the almost 2,200 strong Corps of Cadets. The Corps continues to provide tangible development and leadership opportunities for cadets as they prepare for careers in the military and private sector. Our Corps is larger today than it was in the 1970s. Each year, about 30 to 40% of our cadets will pursue a military commission, continuing Texas A&M's oldest tradition of providing more commissioned officers to our great nation's armed forces than any other institution other than the service academies. Special units such as Fish Drill Team, the Ross Volunteer Company, and Parsons Mounted Cavalry represent Texas A&M and the Corps in events around the country to continue to garner attention for their precision and impressive presentation. The Corps of Cadets represents our oldest student organization and the origin of most of our school's traditions and spirit. Yet, within the arches, we also see a spirit of renewal, an appreciation of the past with a focus on the future. That sense of optimism for the future of Texas A&M can be found throughout our campus and reminds us that the best is yet to come for Texas A&M. When you all consider how great the first 146 years have been, it's quite exciting to think that there are even better times ahead. With the passage of time, some of our traditions may be carried out today slightly different ways or at different times or venues. But our undying Aggie spirit will remain unchanged and will continue to burn brightly. We are known for many traditions, but more importantly for what they represent. Tonight we celebrate what is constant. We celebrate what is true about the Aggie spirit. And more than anything else, what is constant is the tradition and the spirit of Aggie Mustard. Every Aggie muster ceremony is different. I've been to many, and no two have been alike. A muster gathering can be filled with celebration and joy, or one filled with quiet remembrance and tears. Aggies gather this year in the beauty of ballrooms and in the comfort of homes, and under the shadow of conflict. We gather in restaurants and bars, on ships and military bases. We gather in kitchens and even on small back porches. But it matters not where we gather tonight, nor does it matter how many gather with us. It doesn't matter if you had a table tonight, it doesn't matter if you were standing, it doesn't matter if you're every single one every single year, or if this is the first time you've come around in a long time. The only thing that matters is that you are here, and we are together as one Aggie family. We gather in groups large and small, 15,000 right now at Reed Arena. But in many locations, just 2 or 3 Aggies, sharing fellowship and remembrance. We gather as old friends, the ones that we've known for years, and the ones that we've just met. We represent all ages, all class years, every state of the union, and nearly every country on earth. Tonight, whatever road brought us here, whatever our differences, we unite as one people, singing together the spirit of Aggie, and remembering the love we have for Texas A&M and the love we have for our fellow Texas Aggies. As Association of Former Students Executive Secretary E.E. McQuillan, class of 1920s, said in 1923, "The size of the muster is not important. The spirit that brings Aggies together this one night of every year is the vital element." I thank each of you for sharing that spirit and for gathering with us tonight at this Aggie muster. Tonight, what we will do is Dr. John Ashton, class of 1906, instructed us to do in the poem he wrote in 1994 called Roll Call of the Embassy. He wrote, "Softly call the muster, and comrade answer here." He also wrote in the same poem, "Mark them present in our hearts, we'll meet some other day. We are blessed to be Texas Aggies in countless ways." Among those many, many, many blessings is the comfort of knowing that someday, somewhere, in a stadium or in a ballroom full of Aggies, or maybe even just on a small back porch, someone will mark you and me present in their hearts, and someone will answer here for us at our journey's end. And that right there is the Aggie spirit, the unconquerable, the incomparable Aggie spirit. Laredo Aggie family, it has been my great honor and the privilege of a lifetime to speak tonight and be present with you for the 2021 Laredo Aggie muster. Thank you all very much. God bless you all. God bless Texas A&M and Gig 'em Aggies.